He thought slipping me a $50 bill to spike his friend's soda was a smooth move to get her to loosen up. I served him was a psychological experiment on the placebo effect and a masterclass in public humiliation. The Friday night rush at the Foundry usually hits around 9 p.m. It's that specific hour when the afterwork crowd transitions into the let's make bad decisions crowd. I've been bartending for 10 years, long enough to know that you don't just serve drinks. You babysit adults, defuse bombs, and occasionally, you act as the last line of defense between a predator and their prey. I was stationed at the main well, polishing a highball glass when they walked in. It was a group of 4, but the dynamic was off immediately. You learn to read body language fast in this job. There were 2 guys and 2 girls. One guy, let's call him Brad, was the loud one. He was wearing a shirt that cost too much and fit too tight, walking with that puff chest swagger that screams insecurity masked by a trust fund. He was clearly the ringleader. Trailing behind him was a girl I'll name Sarah. She looked uncomfortable. She was checking her phone, hugging her coat tight around her body, her eyes darting toward the exit like she was calculating the distance to safety. They pushed their way to the bar. Brad slammed his hand down on the mahogany counter, rattling the coaster stack. "Yo, barkeep," Brad yelled, snapping his fingers. I hate finger snappers. I took my time finishing the glass I was cleaning, made eye contact with him, and gave him the "I'll get to you when I get to you" nod. I walked over. "What can I get you?" I asked, keeping my face neutral. "Round of shots, tequila, the expensive stuff," Brad announced, looking back at the group for approval. "We are celebrating tonight." "I'm good actually," Sarah said, her voice soft. "I'm doing dry January. Just a Diet Coke for me, please." Brad rolled his eyes so hard I thought they'd detach. He groaned, throwing his head back. "Oh my God, Sarah, don't be that person. It's the 8th. You made it a week. That's enough. Have a drink." "No, really," Sarah said, forcing a polite smile. "I'm driving and I don't feel like it tonight." "You're boring," Brad sneered. He turned to me. 3 shots of Patron and give her a Diet Coke, I guess." I poured the shots. I poured the soda. I watched as they took them. Brad slammed his glass down and immediately started invading Sarah's personal space, leaning in close, whispering things that made her pull back. The other 2 friends were oblivious, lost in their own conversation. About 20 minutes later, at 9:30 p.m., the bar got busier. The bass from the speakers thumped against my chest. Sarah had stepped away to use the restroom. Brad saw his opportunity. He looked left, then right, then leaned over the bar, waving me down. He had a conspiratorial grin on his face that made my skin crawl. "Hey, buddy," he said, lowering his voice. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a crisp $50 bill. He slid it across the wet bar top, under his empty glass. "She's being a buzzkill," Brad whispered, jerking his head toward the restroom where Sarah had gone. "She needs to loosen up. When she comes back, she's gonna order another Coke. Put a double shot of vodka in it, but don't tell her. Make it taste like Coke. I want her to have a good time." I looked at the $50, then I looked at Brad. In the bartending world, this isn't just a request. This is a felony. It's assault. Attempting to drug someone without their consent is the kind of thing that ends careers and lives. My blood ran cold, but my face stayed stone. If I made a scene right now, he might get aggressive, or he might just take her to another bar where a less scrupulous bartender would take the money. I needed to handle this here. I needed to neutralize him. I looked him dead in the eye. I didn't smile. I didn't frown. I just slid the $50 into my tip jar. "I hear you," I said, my voice flat. "You want everyone on the same level." Brad winked. "Exactly, you're a legend." "What are you drinking?" I asked him. "Rum and Coke, make it a double. I want to get wrecked tonight." "Got it," I said. "Doubles all around." Sarah came back. She looked relieved to see her Coke waiting for her. She took a sip. "Is this?" She hesitated, looking at me. "Fresh Coke," I said loudly, making eye contact with her. Extra lime, no ice, just how you like it. She smiled, a genuine smile this time. Thank you. Brad nudged her arm. Drink up, Sarah, the night is young. He ordered his rum and coke. I turned my back to them to mix his drink. I grabbed the rum bottle, but I didn't pour. I palmed the soda gun. I filled his glass with coke. Then I grabbed a bottle of Angostura bitters, just a dash on the rim to give it a spiced smell without any alcohol content. Then I dipped a straw into the rum bottle, put my finger over the top to trap a tiny drop, and let that drop fall into the straw. The result? A drink that smelled like rum, and if you licked the straw, tasted like rum for exactly 1 second. But the glass contained 0 alcohol. I handed it to Brad. Double rum and coke. Careful, I poured it heavy. Brad took a massive gulp. He grimaced, shaking his head like he just took a hit of gasoline. Whoa, yeah, that's the stuff. You didn't skimp, huh? I take care of my VIPs, I said. For the next 2 hours, I watched a psychological masterclass unfold. By 10:45 p.m., the placebo effect had taken full hold of Brad. It is a fascinating phenomenon to witness. I've seen it a dozen times, but never this severe. Because Brad expected to be drunk, and because he was an arrogant show-off who needed an excuse to act out, his brain simply filled in the blanks. He was 4 drinks in. That's 4 glasses of Coca-Cola with a lime wedge. Woo-oh, Brad screamed, stumbling away from the bar and bumping into a waiter carrying a tray of nachos. Watch it, buddy, I'm walking here. He grabbed Sarah's shoulder for support. She flinched. Brad, you are wasted. You need to slow down. I'm fine, Brad slurred. He was actually slurring his words. He was faking a slur because his subconscious told him that's what drunk people do. You're the one who needs to catch up, Sarah. Chug it, chug it. He pointed at her glass. Sarah looked at her drink, then at me. I gave her a subtle, barely perceptible shake of my head. She seemed to understand. She hadn't felt a thing because there was nothing to feel. She took a tiny sip just to get him off her back. I'm feeling it, Brad announced to the room. I love this song. It was a slow R&B track. Brad didn't care. He tried to climb onto a bar stool and nearly fell off. He was swaying. His eyes were half closed. He looked at me and gave a messy thumbs up. Keep 'em coming, boss, another round. I leaned over the bar. You sure, man, you've had a lot. This is the 151 proof rum. I'm a tank, Brad roared, slapping his chest. Hit me. I poured him another Coke. I charged him for a soda. Sarah, meanwhile, was perfectly sober. She was watching Brad with a mixture of disgust and confusion. She leaned in toward me when Brad was busy trying to high-five a stranger. He's acting crazy, she whispered. He's usually annoying, but this is. He's only had 4 drinks. Some people just can't handle their liquor, I said loud enough for Brad to hear. That's right, Brad yelled, spinning around. Lightweights, all of you. At 11:30 p.m., Brad decided it was time to hit on the cocktail waitress, Jen. Jen is a shark. She eats guys like Brad for breakfast. Brad grabbed Jen's apron as she walked by. Hey, sweet thing, when do you get off? I got a bottle service table in my pants. Jen looked at me. I gave her the signal thumb down. She swatted his hand away. Don't touch me or you're out. Feisty, Brad laughed, stumbling back into his friend. She wants me. By 12:30 a.m., Brad was a mess. He had untucked his shirt. He had spilled his drink down his front. He was crying about his dad not hugging him enough to the guy sitting on the next stool. Sarah stood up. Okay, that's it. We're leaving. He's going to puke. I'm not puking, Brad yelled. I'm the king of the world. He tried to stand up and dramatically fell to one knee. He stayed there, laughing hysterically at the floor. Check, please, Sarah said to me, looking exhausted. I got it, Brad slurred from the floor. I'm paying, I'm the man. He pulled himself up using the bar rail, reached into his back pocket, and threw his credit card at me. It missed and landed in the garnished tray. I picked it up. I went to the register. This was the moment, the sweet, sweet moment of reckoning. I tabulated the bill. 4 Diet Cokes Sarah. 6 Diet Cokes Brad. 1 tequila shot start of the night. Total $38. I printed the receipt. I walked over and placed it in front of Brad. Brad squinted at it, closing one eye to focus. He swayed. He frowned. He looked closer. "What is this?" he mumbled. "Your bill," I said. $38, Brad shouted. "That's wrong. I had like 6 doubles and the shots and," he lowered his voice to a whisper, glancing at Sarah, "and the special orders." "The bill is correct," I said. "Bro, are you drunk?" Brad laughed aggressively. "I drank half a bottle of rum. Why isn't it on here?" Sarah looked at the receipt. She frowned. "Wait, it says soda, refill soda." She looked at me. I thought he was drinking rum and coke. Brad slammed his hand on the bar. This guy is trying to rip me off. Wait, no, he's undercharging me. You're an idiot." I leaned over the bar. I rested my elbows on the wood. I looked Brad directly in his glassy, fake-drunk eyes. "Brad," I said, my voice cutting through the music, "you haven't had a drop of alcohol since that first shot at 9 p.m. The bar went quiet around us. "What?" Brad said. "No, I'm wasted. Look at me." "You're not wasted," I said. "You're just annoying. You've been drinking Coca-Cola and lime for 3 hours." "That's a lie," Brad screamed. I felt it. I was stumbling. "Placebo effect," I said. "You wanted to be drunk, so you acted drunk, but physiologically, you are stone cold sober." Sarah looked at Brad, then she looked at me. "But why?" I turned to Sarah. "Because at 9:30, your friend here paid me $50 to put vodka in your Diet Coke without your knowledge. He wanted to drug you." Sarah gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. She took a step back from Brad like he was radioactive. Brad's face went white. The drunkenness evaporated instantly. He stood up straight. His slur vanished. "That's a lie," Brad stammered. I was just joking." "I have the $50 right here." I pulled the bill from the tip jar. "And I have the security camera footage looking right at this station." "You tried to spike my drink." Sarah's voice was trembling. "I told you I might be pregnant." Brad froze. I didn't know that. I just thought you were being lame." "So you tried to drug me?" Sarah screamed. "What is wrong with you?" "I protected you," I told Sarah. "I swapped the order. I gave you the safe drinks, and I gave him the virgin drinks because I wasn't going to let him get drunk and aggressive after trying to pull a stunt like that." Brad looked around. The bouncer was walking over. Jen, the waitress, was glaring at him. The other customers were murmuring. "This is entrapment," Brad yelled. "I'm not paying for this. You scammed me." "You ordered drinks," I said. "I served you liquids. You pay for them." "I want the alcohol I paid for." "Technically," I smiled, "you paid me $50 to commit a crime. I kept the money as an asshole tax. The $38 is for the soda. Now, you can pay the tab and get out, or I can call the cops and show them the footage of you asking me to drug a woman. Attempted poisoning is a serious charge, Brad." Brad looked at Sarah. "Don't look at me," Sarah said. "I'm taking an Uber. Lose my number." She walked out. The other 2 friends, who had been silent witnesses to the meltdown, scrambled off their stools and followed her, leaving Brad alone at the bar. Brad looked at the bouncer, who was cracking his knuckles. He looked at me. He tapped his card. He signed the receipt. He didn't tip. "Keep the 50, he muttered, grabbing his coat. "I'm deleting this night from my memory." "Don't worry," I called after him as he speed-walked toward the door. "We'll remember it for you. You're banned for life." Brad pushed through the doors and into the cold night. I picked up the $50 bill and handed it to Jen. "Hazard pay," I said, "for him touching your apron." Jen grinned. "Best shift ever." I wiped down the bar. The night was still young, but the air felt cleaner. Justice, it turns out, tastes a lot like Diet Coke. So viewers, was I wrong for taking his bribe money and letting him embarrass himself? Or did he get exactly the mocktail he deserved? If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss an